Have you ever wondered why the Israel-Palestine conflict seems so enduring and complex? In the heart of the Middle East, a struggle for land and identity has been ongoing for more than a century. This conflict between Israel and Palestine is not just a political dispute, but a deeply personal and emotional one for those living amidst it. It's a tale of two nations, interwoven with historical, cultural, and religious threads, that's often seen through the lens of violence and unrest. Recently, the tension has escalated. During the overlap of Ramadan and Passover, violence erupted in the streets, leading to several tragic incidents. An Italian citizen was killed, 2 British-Israeli women were shot, and the revered Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem's Old City was raided. The global community watched in horror as these events unfolded, sparking a renewed interest and dialogue about the conflict. Understanding this conflict is crucial, not just for those directly involved, but for anyone seeking to comprehend the complexities of global politics. It's about more than just the land. It's about identity, religion, and the human struggle for self-determination. So let's embark on this journey together, a journey through time that will take us to the roots of the Israel-Palestine conflict, through its progression, and into the challenges and prospects of the present day. Join us on a journey through time to explore the roots and progression of this conflict. To understand the present, we must delve into the past. The Israel-Palestine conflict, a long-standing dispute, has its roots deeply embedded in the historical events of the 20th century. In the early part of the 20th century, the land known as Palestine was under the control of the British Empire, following the fall of the Ottoman rule. This period, known as the British Mandate for Palestine, was characterized by growing tensions between the Jewish and Arab populations, both of whom laid claim to the land. In the aftermath of the Second World War and the horrific atrocities of the Holocaust, the international community rallied behind the idea of a Jewish state. In 1947, the United Nations proposed a partition plan, dividing the land into separate Jewish and Arab states, with Jerusalem under international administration. However, this plan was rejected by the Palestinian Arab leadership and neighboring Arab states. In the following year, 1948, the State of Israel was proclaimed, leading to the First Arab-Israeli War. The war ended with an armistice in 1949, but it marked the beginning of a series of conflicts and hostilities. The Six-Day War in 1967 was another pivotal moment. This war resulted in Israel gaining control over the West Bank, Gaza Strip, Sinai Peninsula, and the Golan Heights. The occupation of these territories only added fuel to the ongoing dispute. The late 20th century saw 2 major Palestinian uprisings, known as intifadas, leading to increased violence and loss of life on both sides. These uprisings were a response to the ongoing occupation and settlement activity in the West Bank and Gaza Strip. Jerusalem, a city sacred to Jews, Christians, and Muslims, has always been at the heart of this conflict. The city has witnessed crucial moments that have shaped its history as well as the conflict. From King David's conquest around 1000 BC, to the reign of Herod the Great, the violent crusades, the British occupation during World War I, and the tensions leading up to the creation of the State of Israel, Jerusalem has been a focal point of contention and rivalry. Israel's claim over all of Jerusalem, coupled with the Palestinian aspiration to make East Jerusalem the capital of a future state, continues to be a major stumbling block in the path of peace. This historical backdrop sets the stage for the contemporary conflict we witness today. The conflict has seen many turning points, each further complicating the situation. The first major event in the recent history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is the Six-Day War in 1967. In a rapid, preemptive attack, Israel seized control of the Gaza Strip, Sinai Peninsula, West Bank, and the Golan Heights. This war laid the groundwork for the current territorial disputes and ignited the spark of resentment among Palestinians. The next turning point was the Oslo Accords in the early 1990s. This agreement was a significant milestone, as it was the first time that a mutual recognition was established between Israel and the Palestine Liberation Organization. It laid the foundation for a two-state solution. However, the failure to fulfill the promises of the Oslo Accords led to the Second Intifada, a violent Palestinian uprising against Israeli occupation. The Second Intifada, starting in the year 2000, was marked by a wave of suicide bombings and a harsh Israeli response. This period saw a significant escalation in violence and a deepening of the divide between Israelis and Palestinians. It further complicated peace prospects and intensified the cycle of violence and mistrust. In more recent times, the conflict has seen a surge in violence. During the Muslim holy month of Ramadan and the Jewish holiday of Passover, tensions escalated, leading to several violent incidents. An Italian citizen was killed and others injured when a car rammed into a group of tourists in Tel Aviv. The driver, a Palestinian citizen of Israel, was shot and killed by police. Additionally, 2 British-Israeli women were shot and killed by Palestinian assailants near the occupied West Bank. The violence didn't just stop there. Israeli police raided Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem's Old City, leading to clashes with Palestinians. This incident played a crucial role in further fueling tensions and causing international outrage. At least 152 Palestinians were injured in clashes with Israeli riot police inside Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. Most of the injuries were caused by rubber bullets, stun grenades, and beatings with police batons. Each of these events has played a fundamental role in shaping the current condition of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. They have not only resulted in loss of lives and deep-seated hatred, but also have influenced international perceptions and attitudes towards the conflict. These events have fueled the cycle of violence and mistrust between Israelis and Palestinians. They have left an indelible mark on the history of the region, influencing the lives of millions of people and shaping the course of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict for years to come. Today, the Israel-Palestine conflict is marked by a complex array of challenges. In the heart of this conflict, we find a multitude of political, social, and economic hurdles that both Israelis and Palestinians have to navigate daily. One significant issue that underscores the current situation is the continued expansion of Israeli settlements in the West Bank. These settlements, viewed as illegal under international law, have been a constant source of tension, often leading to clashes between Israeli settlers and Palestinians. Moreover, they pose a severe threat to the viability of a potential Palestinian state, further complicating the quest for a two-state solution. The status of Jerusalem is another crucial challenge. The city, sacred to Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike, is at the heart of the national aspirations for both Israelis and Palestinians. Israel claims all of Jerusalem as its capital, while Palestinians seek East Jerusalem as the capital of a future state. This disagreement continues to be a major stumbling block in peace negotiations. Security concerns are also paramount, with both sides living in fear of violence and attacks. The recent violent incidents in Tel Aviv and near the occupied West Bank, where innocent lives were lost, underscore the urgency of addressing these security issues. The escalation of violence during religious holidays, such as Ramadan and Passover, further exacerbates tensions, leading to a vicious cycle of fear, retaliation, and more violence. Lastly, the humanitarian situation in Gaza remains dire. The blockade imposed on Gaza has led to a severe economic crisis, with high unemployment rates and widespread poverty. Basic services like electricity and clean water are scarce, and the healthcare system is on the verge of collapse. The living conditions are made worse by the frequent outbreaks of violence and the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. These challenges, intertwined and complex, continue to fuel the conflict. They hinder the peace process, making it difficult to envision a resolution that would satisfy both parties and lead to lasting peace in the region. It is a situation that demands not only political will but also empathy, understanding, and a commitment to justice and human rights. These challenges continue to fuel the conflict and hinder the peace process. Perceptions are changing, but what does this mean for the future of the conflict? In the shifting sands of global opinion, the Israel-Palestine conflict has been a subject of growing conversation and evolving perspectives. A recent Gallup poll revealed a notable shift in sympathies among U.S. adults. Sympathy towards Palestinians is at a new high of 31%, while the proportion not favoring either side has dwindled to a new low of 15%. Yet, a gap remains. A 23-point gap in American sympathy for Israel versus the Palestinians persists. What's contributing to this shift? Many attribute it to Palestinians' increased use of social media to share their experiences, allowing a global audience to witness their reality firsthand. Furthermore, the influence of high-profile celebrities, such as Gigi and Bella Hadid, who have spoken out in support of Palestine, have also played a role in shifting perceptions. The change in public sentiment is more pronounced among Democrats, with 49% sympathizing with Palestinians compared to 38% sympathizing with Israelis. This marks a significant increase from 2016, when only 23% of Democrats sympathized with Palestinians. This polarization between Republicans and Democrats on this issue mirrors the broader political divide in the U.S. Despite these evolving perceptions, support for the State of Israel remains strong, with 68% of Americans viewing Israel favorably. However, favorable attitudes towards the Palestinian Authority are much lower at 26%. The staunch support for Israel among Republicans is maintained by Christian evangelicals and the war on terror rhetoric. While the changing narrative and growing sympathies for the Palestinian cause are indeed noteworthy, the reality for Palestinians living under Israeli occupation or blockade remains unchanged. The Democratic Party is experiencing some movement towards pro-Palestinian sentiments, but it is not the predominant position within the party. The Gallup poll results may influence future policy decisions, but the timeline for significant change remains uncertain. The future prospects of the Israel-Palestine conflict are intricately tied to these changing perceptions. As global citizens, our understanding and our sympathies play a role in shaping policy decisions. However, it's crucial to remember that achieving a peaceful resolution is more than just a matter of perception. It requires diplomatic efforts, political will, and most importantly, a commitment to justice and human rights. While perceptions are changing, achieving a peaceful resolution remains a complex task. Understanding the Israel-Palestine conflict requires a nuanced and informed perspective. It's a complex narrative that's deeply rooted in history, shaped by key events and turning points that have fueled the flames over the years. The current situation is fraught with challenges, each incident adding another layer of complexity to an already intricate web of issues. Yet, amid the turmoil, there are glimmers of hope. Changes in perception, largely driven by increased social media engagement and advocacy from high-profile figures, have led to a shift in public opinion. More people are starting to sympathize with the Palestinians, and this sentiment is particularly strong among certain political demographics. Future prospects for the conflict rest on this changing narrative and the potential for it to influence policy decisions. However, the road to a significant shift is uncertain, and the journey is a long one. Support for Israel remains strong, and the divisions between political parties continue to mirror the broader political divide in the world. While the reality for Palestinians living under Israeli occupation or blockade remains unchanged, these growing sympathies for the Palestinian cause are celebrated as steps in the right direction. But it's important to remember that the road to peace is fraught with challenges, but understanding the conflict brings us one step closer to a potential resolution.